Alright, I was doing a video showing like 6 or 7 really great channels, plus, especially with all what's going on and all that, just keeping up to date on what's important to know, and as well as their specific videos were really good. I got cut off. I talk too much. I'm just showing a snippet from each one. This one here is Amazing Polly. She connects the dots. She does really great work with like a detective, finding out, like following the money, names and such. So this is in regards to the oddities regarding the whole rioting starting.
And one of the things they did on the first day was loot the Minneapolis Target store. And this is all in response, apparently, to this supposed police officer. Nobody even really knows if he's a police officer. Leaning on the neck of this man, George Floyd, on the ground until George Floyd died. There's just so much, though, coming out about this story that makes it really suspect. For example, Maya Santamaria, a former club owner in South Minneapolis, says the cop who killed George Floyd worked security for her club up until the end of 2019. She also claims Floyd worked security at her club. Couldn't confirm the two men knew each other. Chauvin was there for 17 years. I think probably the two knew each other. At least knew of each other. So that's weird enough. But then you start looking at this club owner. I mean, she recently sold that club she had owned for all those years. What else does she get up to? Well, in 2015, she announced a new partnership between her radio station called La Raza and the Minnesota Twins. It's very important not only to us, but the entire community, said Maya Santamaria, the station's president and CEO. We, the Latino community, are starting to be embraced and included. It's a community building level of feeling right now, she said. Okay, La Raza means the race, and there happens to be a pretty hardcore group of activists, nationalist activists. They don't have a very good reputation, to be honest. I don't want to slam them unnecessarily, okay. But La Raza is the name of that group. It's like board. Also a member of the board is former Obama Interior Secretary and former Liberal Colorado Senator Ken Salazar, and former Mexican grocery market chain Casa Le ADS de CV, sorry for that pronunciation, executive Robert L. Edwards. And finally, Target, of course, has long ties to the Democrat Party. Minnesota's Democrat Governor Mark Dayton is part of the Target family. His father, Bruce, was once chairman of the company that rebranded itself as Target in the 1990s. And Target was the first place to get looted. Could it be they're taking one for the team? I mean, CEO of Target, Brian Cornell, does...
All right, so that's odd. Okay, the next channel is Weeping Willow 2 for You, with the letter 2, or number 2, number 4, and a capital U. She has a great channel. She's been doing news for a long time, monitoring like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. She knows a lot about the Gulf of Mexico, and a lot of anomalies in that area, and the fault lines, the New Madrid fault. And she makes a lot of calls. She'll call politicians, she'll call the local stores if there's problems. And like she said, if a politician gets like 7 phone calls in one day, they consider that like an emergency. But so she's calling. This is after a protest at her capital in Kentucky with somebody did an effigy of the governor. And they doubled down, they're getting upset. So she's calling, leaving a message with Senator McConnell's office.
Messages for Senator Mitch McConnell. Okay, I left Governor Beshear a message. You, Mitch McConnell, have not responded on messages left with your answer machine. and I've literally had your office hang up on me. So, Governor Beshear said he's not going to be bullied, not going to be afraid. And I think all of you politicians ought to be afraid myself. That's my opinion. I'm just a broke down, disabled individual sitting out here in Kentucky watching my country go downhill at your all's hands. Okay? What did you think was going to happen? That people would sit back while you dictated and acted tyrannical or treasonous? That you're oath breaking, which makes you a Class D felon? Under the laws of this nation, a traitor and a Class D felon is what you are, which calls for hanging. Okay? That's what the laws say. Your mandated vaccine RFID chip for Bill Gates' agenda, you're evil and demonic. Ever heard of freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, common law rights from Father, creator of all life? You have created chaos and financial destruction for the small businesses in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, owners that you have destroyed in the Kentucky economy. You have promoted hate in Kentucky, as has every so-called public servant, governor, and politician in this country. And David Osborne, him saying that he and fellow Republicans were outraged at the violent imagery displayed on the Capitol grounds. It wasn't violent, not by a long shot. It was their freedom to go up there to do that. We, the people, are outraged by your display of tyranny, treason, dictatorship, and being the traitors that you are. McConnell protesters went too far with the hanging effigy. I mean, seriously? You are unacceptable. Traitors are unacceptable. Usurpers of their oath of office is unacceptable.
Okay, and then no mincing words. And this one here is Framing the World, one word. And I think the guy who runs the channel made a great documentary about fluoride. And they have great guests on, and here's a part of that.
Again, the testing is so bogus.
Yes,
many people
bogus.
think that they've already had it. Many people think they have antibodies who've never had it. They've just had the flu shot. But so they go out, and maybe they get infected, and then they die from it because they have the flu shot reaction, right? The cytokine storm. They thought they were immune. Actually, they were the most vulnerable.
Wow, I know it's unbelievable when you think about all those types of the irony there. And if you with those PCR tests, the person who designed the test even said you really can't use this to diagnose a disease because the magnification, the times of amplification of to look like you said, that's why it's not a complete sequence. And so they're right at the upper limit of magnification in order to even get the pathetic of oh, this is pretty close. So
well, part of what to understand too is that PCR replication does not give you concentrations of the virus in the original blood sample. It's really a yes or no answer. It doesn't tell you how prominent the viruses were in the original blood sample. So when we test in my lab, for example, when we test for heavy metals in food, we have a concentration. We know how many parts per billion or parts per.
So anyhow, this is a really great talk on the understanding this virus. And then lastly, this is Israeli News Live, Jaina. Afternoon, and great, awesome, up-to-date sort of news, and not sort of news, up-to-date news on things that are more like urgent alerts on what's going on. This is their guest is Dr. Doris Day. She healed herself of her own stage 3 cancer. She's very, very smart. She's a surgeon. Her husband was a senator when our government, our Senate, Congress voted for the Noahide laws, which have nothing to do with us or nothing to do with faithful Jews or Christians. It's very demonic, and they voted just like they did for the Federal Reserve when, like, most people had gone home.
6 feet apart works. Why do you have to wear a mask?
Right.
For 100 years, we surgeons have been wearing masks in the operating room to protect the patient from our breath.
Right.
And we are 18 inches away from a massive open bloody wound that is totally susceptible to any bacteria or viruses we might be breathing out. And a mask protects the patient and has for 100 years, protects the patient 18 inches away. There is no reason at all for 6 feet social distancing. Zero. They are doing it because they can. What does Satan like? He likes control.
Yes.
What does the Illuminati, the Jewish Illuminati, want? Control.
Yes.
And so they're all laughing at us because they said, look how we can control them. However, the last laugh, as I'll tell you later on, will be against them. The last laugh will be against them. But so the coronavirus causes nothing more than the common cold. But they want to scare everybody, and they have done a wonderful job of it because people are sheep.
Media,
and they don't think for themselves. And they've been dumbed down by everything that has happened in the last 100 years, where they have destroyed the Americans' health and their ability to think with fast food, processed food, vaccinations, fluoridation of the water, all of these things. They have destroyed America's ability to have health and to think by all of these things.
That's right.
So Americans are terrified. So they're going to make these vaccinations mandatory. They're going to make you accept a vaccination of poisons into your body, you see. And so when they do that, they're going to kill you. That's their method of killing you, as well as the famines that they're going to have, because the famines are going to, they're already plowing under the farms. They're already closing down the meat packing plants. They're already closing down, killing cows and closing down the dairy farms and all those things like that. So
our commercial livestock.
These are all mentioned in Daniel and Revelation. Famines, pestilence, which is worldwide pandemics, real or fake, and inflation. Remember, it said that you will spend actually a year's supply of income for a small amount of food, because food will become so expensive. Food.
Yep. Alrighty. Great channels, and we got to really figure out, be a little proactive in what we're planning to do with everything coming at us breakneck speed. Alrighty.